Hey Dynamo Nation, what's going on? My name is James. Thank you for being with me on this episode today. If you're new to the channel, new to Dynamo Nation, welcome. I appreciate you being here. If you're not subscribed, please take a moment to hit that subscribe button. Definitely helps out the channel, helps me pump out more Dynasty content like this. We are making our push to 500 subscribers. Let's get there. It will open up the community tab. It's going to allow for a lot more engagement from me to you. So let's get going, Dynamo Nation. We're almost there. So today's episode, we are looking at our top 12 Dynasty wide receiver cornerstone rankings. For me, these are players drafted within the last 4 years. We're looking at 2018 through 2021. Anyone outside of that is not going to be on this list. Any of the rookies coming in 2022 are also not on this list as of yet. All right. So let's get right into our rankings. Our very first player is going to be Ja'Marr Chase. Chase, look at this season. 21 years old, 79 receptions, over 1,400 yards, and 13 touchdowns. An amazing, unbelievable season. You know, we looked at what Justin Jefferson did last year, and we all thought, like, there's no way anyone's going to come in and top this anytime soon. And what did Chase do? He came in and did the damn thing. Topped it almost across the board. You know, definitely more yards, 13 touchdowns. He's had an unbelievable season. And the thing about Chase to me, he is tethered to Joe Burrow and T. Higgins. Like, he has an elite quarterback, a young quarterback that's not going anywhere, right? And T. Higgins is an elite young wide receiver prospect in his own right. Chase is sitting beautifully, you know. And to me, he's the safest. Jonathan Taylor right now, if you're going to do a dynasty startup draft, Taylor's probably going 1-1. I would be hard-pressed to take anybody else over Ja'Marr Chase at 1-2 at this point. If it's not SuperFlex, you know, Chase definitely is the second pick for me. So that's going to be our first player. We just mentioned the second. Let's throw him up. Justin Jefferson. Jefferson has had 2 historic seasons. You know, he's no slouch. We're looking at what he's done. He's 22 years old. I mean, year 1, 88 receptions, 1,400 yards, and 7 TDs. And then year 2, he follows that up with 103 receptions, 1,500 yards, and 9 touchdowns. He's unbelievable. And to me, he's right behind Chase. Like, he really is in terms of these rankings. And their talent to me is equal. I think they're both extremely, extremely talented. The main difference between the two, we just mentioned, Burrow and Higgins, is who Ja'Marr Chase is tethered to. And for Justin Jefferson, that is Kirk Cousins and Adam Thielen. There's a big difference there in terms of talent. Talent at the quarterback and his second receiver to pull coverage. So, but you can't go wrong. Justin Jefferson is a dog, 100%. This is a player, if you can grab him, I mean, it's going to cost you an arm and a leg. These are the type of players, if you didn't draft them, the chances of you trading for him right now, it's probably not going to happen. You know, I wouldn't trade him. So, Jefferson's going to be our number 2. Our third wide receiver on this ranking, CeeDee Lamb. I like Lamb a lot. The thing about Lamb that has kind of infuriated me is the target share. You know, 109 targets is year 1, only 118 year 2, so he hasn't seen this huge target, you know, blow up yet, which is coming. But you look at year 1, 74 receptions, 935 yards, 5 TDs for Lamb. And then he followed it up, 77 receptions, almost 1,100 yards, and then 6 touchdowns this year. So, to me, Lamb has a really high ceiling. Like, we have not seen him get that target volume that a lot of elite wide receiver ones get. So, what's going to happen with Lamb's numbers when he gets 30, 40 more targets moving forward? You know, Amari Cooper, we'll see if he's even back next year or not. And obviously, Cooper's already seen the writing on the wall with CeeDee Lamb, because towards the end of the season, he starts bitching and moaning about not getting involved in the offense. Like, he knows he's been passed up. CeeDee Lamb is a dog. Like, these are the 3 for me. And the thing about Lamb, too, that I like a lot is he has an elite quarterback. Like, Dak Prescott, for all of his faults, he has been elite for the last few years, especially in fantasy, and he can move that ball. So, Lamb has his quarterback. You know, Chase has his quarterback, and Jefferson is just amazing. So these are the 3 safest picks for me, Dynasty wide receiver, our cornerstone rankings. So let's move to number 4. Our 4th receiver on this list is going to be A.J. Brown. A.J. Brown, to me, he had a down year this year dealing with injuries, but his talent is undeniable. Look at what he did 2019-2020, his rookie year, second year. You know, he 19 touchdowns total between the 2 years. Little over 2,100 receiving yards during that time frame, and he had 120 receptions. And he did all of this on like 200 targets. That's the crazy part about A.J. Brown to me. He's kind of the same deal as Lamb. He has not seen these huge target numbers. What happens when that happens? What type of crazy numbers is he going to put up when that happens? At some point, they're going to have to throw that ball, right? Henry's getting older, injured this year. I think A.J. Brown's numbers would have been crazy this year if he had stayed healthy, based on them having to throw the ball more with Henry being out. A.J. Brown, to me, is a great player to go get. Still really young. Third season. Definitely, that's our top 4 right there. So, let's move on to number 5. Number 5 for me is DK Metcalf. Metcalf has a lot of uncertainty around him, to me, based on what's going to happen with Russell Wilson. But he's only 24 years old. He's had 3 straight really productive years. He's obviously a touchdown machine. 29 TDs in 3 seasons, right? That's crazy. And then we see what he's done receiving-wise. Like, his worst year has been 900 receiving yards, 58 receptions. That was his rookie season. Aside from that, like, he could possibly be, like, the most talented receiver in the NFL. Look at his body. He's probably the biggest receiver, one of the fastest in the league. He's absolutely enormous. And the thing about him is, like, his stuff, the only thing that worries about me with DK Metcalf is all field stuff to me. Is he committed to the game, or is he more interested in being a celebrity? That's it. And if he puts it all together, I think DK is going to be on this list for the next 5 or 6 years, right at the top of this. And I think he's somebody to target right now because he had a down year, right? He had 3 touchdowns last week. So he kind of bounced back a little bit. But he's a player I think you can target if you're needing an elite upside wide receiver 1. I'd be looking at Metcalf. I think out of this entire list, he's going to be the cheapest to get in terms of the top 5. So let's move to number 6. Number 6 is one of my favorite players in the NFL. I love this guy. He's an absolute monster. He's just a no-frills type of player. And that's going to be Deebo Samuel. He's only 25 years old, but he's a dynamic playmaker, man. Like, look what he did this year. 73 receptions, 1,300 yards, 6 touchdowns. And then he carried the ball 51 times for another 320 yards and 7 TDs. He is a playmaker. Wherever he's at on the field, he's a home run hit everywhere. A home run threat. Like, if you're sleeping on Deebo Samuel, you need to wake up. This man is electric. And think about that offense. Shanahan knows how to get his weapons the ball. That's one. Lance is obviously a rookie quarterback, but he looks like he's going to be the future in San Fran. So we have a high upside quarterback. Deebo Samuel, to me, is a really nice, sneaky play in terms of a top 3 or 4 wide receiver moving forward. All these guys can move up or down. To me, the only 2 people on this list that are cemented are Chase and Jefferson. I think everybody else, though, in the top 5 or 6, it's real fluid. But Deebo Samuel, to me, he's elite. He really is. Still very young. This is a player to go out and get if you can. The sky is going to be the limit for him, especially if they're getting him involved on the ground. If his numbers keep going up receiving-wise, and then he's starting to do this work on the ground, we've seen what happened with Cordero Patterson this year. He could put up some crazy numbers moving forward. So that's going to be number 6. All right? Let's take a look at number 7, one of my personal favorites. And I like this. To me, he is quarterback proof. I feel so bad for him. He's had nothing but hot garbage at quarterback his entire time. He just finished his 4th season. Okay? We're talking about DJ Moore. DJ Moore, to me, is one of the safest wide receiver 2s in all of fantasy football. He's proven to be quarterback proof. He really has. 3 straight years of 1,000 yards. And you know what you're going to get with him. You're going to get around 75 receptions, 1,100 yards, and 4 touchdowns. And he's going to finish probably wide receiver 15, 16. And that's with absolute hot garbage at quarterback play. Like, think about that. If Carolina, let's say they go out and get Watson this offseason, right? They were rumored to be interested. If they go get Watson, what happens to DJ Moore? He slides into probably, number 4 on this list? Maybe number 3? DJ Moore is a very, very skilled wide receiver. He has just been stuck in a terrible situation with terrible quarterback play for years. Hopefully Carolina does something about that. But even if they don't, he has shown us he is a very safe and dependable wide receiver 2. We can't all have wide receiver 1s. It's impossible. Especially 12-team leagues, 14-team leagues. You're not going to be able to have 3 or 4 wide receiver 1s. But you can go get a guy like DJ Moore, slot him in at your number 2 spot, and be fine. So DJ Moore, our number 7 receiver on this list. And then that's number 8. Let's look at number 8. This is another personal favorite of mine. I like this guy a lot. Talking about Terry McLaurin. Scary Terry, as he's known. He's 26 years old. He's the oldest on this list. But in 3 seasons, he's right at 3,000 yards. Model consistency. Over 200 receptions, 16 touchdowns. You know, and he kind of falls into the same situation as DJ Moore. Terrible quarterback play. Who was he had throwing him the ball? You know, are you rolling with Heineke? I'm sure as hell not. You know, this is a player in terms of McLaurin who, to me, if he can get into the right situation, if Washington can address that quarterback spot and even upgrade it just a little bit, you're looking at a very solid back in, wide receiver 1, front end wide receiver 2 in Terry McLaurin. You know, he was down a little bit this year. He dealt with some injuries, but the talent is there. You know, to me, he's probably out of this whole list so far, out of everyone we've listed, I'm probably going to say he's going to be the cheapest right now out of this list due to a multitude of reasons. Recent injury, quarterback situation. He's a target for me in the offseason. If you can go grab him, get him on the cheap, I think you're going to be happy with that. And you look at what his blow-up games are like. When he hits big. You know, it's 7, 8 receptions for 130 yards, 2 touchdowns. That's the type of talent that he has. He had multiple games like that at the beginning of the season. So, Terry McLaurin, our number 8. So, let's move to number 9. And this is a great list so far. Top 8, I mean, it just shows you the wide receiver depth that we've been blessed with the last few years. All right? Let's move to number 9. This guy was a rookie this year. To me, was very impressive. And I think the sky's the limit for him. We're talking about Jaylen Waddle. Jaylen Waddle, look at what he did his rookie year, guys. I mean, we're talking 98 receptions, 988 yards, and 5 touchdowns. Okay? The biggest thing about him that worries me, okay, because he got a lot of targets this year. 133 targets, but that's a crazy catch rate. 98 out of 133, so that's all good and dandy. 1 game of 100 yards or more receiving. Now, is that a product of the offense? The plays that they're calling? Probably, because his talent is immense. But we've seen this play out before with receivers. You know, where they're 7, 8, 9, 10 yards. And that's great if you're in PPR, right? That's why he's down here a little bit on this list. He's still a high upside young player, somebody I want on every team I can possibly get. But I need to see more of that big playability. That's what I need to see. You know, he's kind of disappeared in games in terms of touchdowns so far this season. But he's a rookie. We have to consider that. He's still learning the NFL. His body's not where it's at today, where it's going to be in a couple of years. You know, he'll hit that weight room. I think 100% Jaylen Waddle is going to be a stud, especially in PPR formats, man. If you can get him, you got to get him now. This time next year, he probably has the most room to grow on this list up to this point in terms of moving up. You know, from where he's at 9, I could see him flirting with 4 or 5 next season. So, Jaylen Waddle is definitely a dynasty buy for me right now. All right? So, let's look at number 10. You know, number 10, another great name on this list. The hits keep on coming. We're talking about T. Higgins. 22 years old. You know, in Higgins, year 1. This is only his second season. 68 receptions, 900 yards, and 6 TDs last year. And then he followed that up with 74, 1,100, and 6 this year. I mean, he's an elite wide receiver 2 already in his second season, 22 years old. And like I said with Chase, T. Higgins is tethered to Jamar Chase and Joe Burrow. So what does that say to us? Like T. Higgins is a very safe play. And the beauty of him is, like, he was going to be one of my offseason targets if he didn't have those few blowout games at the end of the season. And I'm still going to kick the tires, and I'm going to see what's going to happen. But he's never going to be that elite wide receiver 1 week in and week out. As Jamar Chase is rolling that team, we know that. But Higgins, he's going to have those games where he's going to blow up because of all the coverage and all the attention that Jamar Chase gets. So to me, T. Higgins, if you can grab him, get him. If you got him, keep him. That's a really nice player to have right now. His future is very bright. Very bright. So, let's move to number 11. Our 11th receiver on this list, Diontae Johnson. The most disrespected receiver in fantasy football. I don't care what anyone says. This guy, all he's done is gotten better. And I understand Big Ben, he's going to retire. He hasn't done, he's got a noodle for an arm. Throws the ball 5-10 yards, whatever it may be. Diontae Johnson, he's had his drops. But, you look at rookie year, 59 receptions, 700 yards, 5 TDs. Followed it up with 88 receptions, 900 yards, and 7 TDs. And then last year, this past season, 100 receptions, 1,100 yards, and 8 touchdowns. I mean, come on. Come on, he's doing all of it. And I know the question, like I said, Ben's retiring. But is the quarterback that they're going to replace him with, are we really sure he's going to be worse than what we just seen out of Roethlisberger? I'm not convinced of that. The dude just threw like 45 passes and 160 yards, whatever the hell it was. It was terrible. Diontae Johnson has been a steady presence. A very solid back-end wide receiver 1, and he does not get the credit that he deserves in any of these rankings. And even for me, got him down here at 11. Maybe he should be a little bit higher. I don't know. There's some uncertainty there, obviously, with that offense, with Ben. Let's see what happens. But Diontae Johnson, to me, is a really, really nice wide receiver. I'm going to put him at the wide receiver 2. I'm not going to say he's a wide receiver 1 for me. There's better options on this list, and there's better options, older players. But if you can have him as your wide receiver 2, you are sitting pretty. All right? And then our 12th receiver on this list, another one of my favorites. I think the sky's the limit for this player. That's Devonta Smith. I've covered him multiple times on this channel. We all know, to me, Devonta Smith is being held back by that offense and by Jalen Hurts' inconsistencies. If Hurts gets it together, or if they upgrade at quarterback, I think you're going to see a huge season out of Devonta Smith next year. Especially if he works on his weight, gets in the weight room, addresses that just a little bit. And it really hasn't been an issue at all this year. That was his biggest concern coming out, was his weight and getting pushed around. That has not been the concern. What have we seen from Devonta Smith all season long? We have seen him just ball out. He's made incredible catches. You know, he's going to finish the season 800 yards, 900 yards, 6, 7 touchdowns. But, the upside is there. It's real. And we've covered him before. This is a person who's averaging, 1.8, 1.81 points per target in fantasy, which is an elite number. That's what Stephon Diggs did this year with all the targets he got. If Philly figures out that offense and they can get him involved, Devonta Smith is going to be elite. He's already probably one of the best top 5 or 6 route runners in the NFL. He's got great hands. He's making circus catches on the field. If you have not been watching Devonta Smith, go pull some highlights up. He has made some unbelievable catches so far. So, those are the 12 names. And I like each and every one of them. Okay? Obviously, it starts at the top. Chase, Jefferson, Lamb, A.J. Brown, DK. To me, there's a clear benchmark there. But if you even look from 6 to 12, there's some elite receivers on this list. Young receivers. And these are the players. These are those cornerstone players that you build around. And not every one of these guys is going to be a wide receiver 1. A high-end wide receiver 1. Let's get that correct. But they're all at least a wide receiver 2. And if you have players like this on your team, if you have 2 or 3 of these guys, man, you're sitting real nice. Real nice for the future for your receiver room. You're sitting pretty. So, that's going to be the video, Dynamo Nation. If you enjoyed this content, remember to hit that subscribe button. Let's get to 500. I will be doing more of these. I'm going to come out with a running back one, tight end, and quarterback here in the next few weeks. It's the offseason. Fantasy football offseason. It's the start of Dynasty football. Remember that. This is the start of it. All the content right now for me is getting ready to transition over into rookie mocks, player profiles, Dynasty rankings, all of that. So if you're enjoying this stuff, stick with it. That's what's coming. So, all right, Dynamo Nation, that's going to be it. You guys have a great week. Stay safe. I'll see you.